So good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the class. So in the geography we discussed about 4 chapters. We completed 4 chapters, discussion of 4 chapters. Then we'll go for the history. We'll go for next book, the history. For this term or for this term, for the midterm, we'll be having 4 chapters from the geography that already we discussed, and we'll be having 4 to 5 chapters from the history or more than that. So we'll start first chapter of history. It's a new subject for you people. It's not new discipline from the social science. The geography also new, and this even the history is also the new subject for you people. Is it not? Is it not a new? So what is history then? Geography we know, we discuss. What is geography? Geo refers to earth. Graphy refers to study. It's nothing but study of earth. So same like in history, what is the spelling of history? Spelling of history: History. Is it not? Then here, as like a geography, in this word also, we have 2 different words in this term. What is that? One is his and story. His, andre ಏನು? What do you mean by his? His, her. What is that his? Avanu, is it not? He, avanu, his, avanadu. So, avanadu, his story. That means the story of the person. The story of a person. So we will discuss why it is mentioned as a his story. We will discuss that. So most of the people, they think the history is a boring subject. Most of the people, because that fellows got information from their seniors, their sister, their brothers. They have told them that it is too difficult and it is boring, and it's only about the remembering the dates and the names of rulers. They might be told you, but it's according to that fellows. Is not? They are very bad fellows. They thought the history is difficult, but you should not, because you should know the importance of a history, and we should know what is the reality of a history. According to you or the many people, they think it's a boring subject because only remembering the dates and the name of a king and the rulers. But it is not only that. History is actually very interesting subject. It's very interesting subject. And are you all interested in watching a movie? Different type of a movie with a different plot and story. Is it not? You like to watch the movies. Is it not? It's same like that. It's exactly same like a movie. History is a movie. But you people only concentrate on the date and their names and all the remembers. Is it not? Movie you will enjoy because no need to write an exam based on the movie. You don't need to worry for the things which is told in the movie. It's very easy. You will enjoy. But here you cannot enjoy. You think that you cannot enjoy because you have to remember whatever the thing I'll be discussing here. You have to remember all those things. The date you have to remember. The name of a ruler, king we have to remember. It's difficult for you people. But the history is not only remembering the dates and the name of rulers. It's a fact. What is history? History is a fact. It's a real thing which has happened, which has been done earlier already. Before coming here, I took a class in a 7th class. Is it not a history? Is it not a history? Is history alwa? I wrote this concept name, the name of a subject, history, before 1 minute. 1 minute ago I wrote this. ಇದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ? ವರ್ಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಬರೆದ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ದ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ Suppose I drew something here now. Now, is this history or not? It's a history. Whatever the things, whatever the action done before this second, it's all history. What I discussed, it's all history. It's all going history actually. Everything is history. But that action should have a evidence. I am saying that it's a history. If you ask me how, sir, how it is history? So I'm ready to prove with the evidence. Yes, see, before 1 minute ago I drew this. It's the evidence for the history, isn't it? So history, it's not an imagination story. History is not an imagination story as like in the movies. You people like imagination story, isn't it? The person hero and he hit other fellows like villains by flying on the sky, is not. The atmosphere will be flying and he hit the villains. It doesn't happen. It's only imagination. But you people tend to see the films. But here we get a real one. History is about the fact, real fact which has happened, which is done already. And it's proven with the evidence. ಈ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಆಧಾರಗಳಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮೊದಲೇ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಆಧಾರಗಳಿರಬೇಕು, ಇದೊಂದು ಘಟನೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ನಂಬ್ತೀವಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, and if you say, what's your name? Nachiket, suppose. If I say, Akbar has killed by Nachiket. You know about the Akbar ruler, king. If I say, Akbar has killed by Nachiket, is that history or not? Good, it's not history. It's imagination. Because it does not happen. You may ask me, sir, show me the proof. While the Nachiket is killing the Akbar, I cannot show because it is the imagination. But the everything which has happened in the ancient period, in the before many years back, at that time, to capture all the actions, there was no any videos. You may ask, sir, any of the ಘಟನೆ ನಡೆದಿರೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ನಂಬ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್, ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಸುಮಾರು 1000 years ago, 200-300 years agoದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ಗಳು ಏನಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ರು? They were recording on the paper, on the plate, on the wall, on the leaves of plants. They were recording on those things. So they were writing. Before that, the people, they didn't know about the writing, the language. They didn't know about the language. ಅವ್ರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು? ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಭಾಷೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ABCD ಬರೆಯೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಭಾಷೆಗಳು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಆವಾಗ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅವರು ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸೊ ದೇ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ದ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಹಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಹೌ? ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದೇವರ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್, ಸ್ಕಲ್ಪ್ಚರ್, ಆನ್ ದ ವಾಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಕೇವ್, ಆನ್ ದ ವಾಲ್ಸ್, ಆನ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ಸ್, ಆನ್ ದ ಲೀವ್ಸ್, ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಕರ್ವ್, ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಡ್ರಾ. So through that we got information and we got things and the evidence and like the fact which has happened on that time. So based on that we say the story. So whatever the story we are going to discuss in these chapters all are real. Everything it has the evidence. So this history, as I told, it's not having any starting point. It's not having any ending point. History is not having a starting point and it's not having an ending point. You may say it's an ending point, it's not. So every second is coming, it's not. It's cycling, the hours, it's not. It's going on, it's not stopped. The world is not stopped. The clock is not stopped. The time has not stopped, it's not. It's going on. So the history also creating after one passing after every second, the history creating. ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಹಿಂದೆ ಉಳಿದಂಥ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನೇ, ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿಂಗ್, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ನಾವು. ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ and what I'm talking now, making action, it's all a history. It will become history after next 1 second, isn't it? So this all the history, there is no end for the history. But then where is the start? There is no start. Start means before the birth of first human being on the earth surface. ಪ್ರಪಂಚದ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಮಾನವ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೊದಲೇ, ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ growth of first plant, before the growth of earth, before the growth of solar system, before the growth of universe and all those things, there is a history. So we don't know where it started, but according to our information, we have created one starting and end points, means like some divisions. How we created a divisions? You can ask, sir, you told there is no ending and starting point of history. We have created our some starting and ending point and divisions because history is not only imagination. History is a fact which has happened and it has evidence. So we believe the fact which is explained with the evidence. So only for the certain periods we have a evidence. Only for the certain, suppose we have a 2021, 2020, 2000 and 1000, 0, suppose it's a 0 and from many years back that. But now we have evidence from here. Suppose 8000 BC, 8000 BCE. From here we have a evidence. Before that we don't have evidence. So before whatever the things happened before this, it's not considered as a history because we don't have evidence. From the 8000 BCE, whatever the action happened, it's all considered history. So because we have evidence. From here, this history has been divided into 3 divisions. One is ancient history, medieval history, then modern history. So now what I am discussing, it's a basic. It's not there in your textbook, don't worry. It's a basic of history. I am explaining what is history ಅಂತ. ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಇತಿಹಾಸನ ಒಂದು ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್. 6th ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ Christian era, Christian calendar, the history means what we have years and date. It started from the 0, means the day 1, 01. How? On that time, many years back, the important historians were from Christian religion. They were Christians. Important historians. Historians andre enu? What do you mean by historians? What is it? Historians? History. When historians, what is that? The person who read history. Historians. Who write history. They are the historians. Who write about the facts. Who study the history. They are called historians. You people all are historians. They are great. You people are historians because you are studying the history. So these historians, many years back, they were from the Christian religion. So whom they adore? What is the God of a Christian? Which is the God of a Christian? Christian. Jesus. So they, the Christian, they are given a starting point of a history when Jesus got birth. ಜೀಸಸ್ ದೇವರು, ಅವರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಜೀಸಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಅವಾಗಿಂದ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೊದಲೇ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆನ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಡಾಮಿನೇಟಿಂಗ್ ರಿಲಿಜನ್, ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ರಿಶ್ಚಿಯನ್ ರಿಲಿಜನಿಂದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟೋರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅವರೇ ಇದ್ದರು. ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಪ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅವರೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಸೊ ದೇ ವರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಡಾಮಿನೇಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್, ಕ್ರಿಶ್ಚಿಯನ್ಸ್. And the important historians from the Christians, they created, means they started history as a, they created this calendar. What we have calendar, it's about Christian calendar. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಜನವರಿ, ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿ, 2021 ಏನೂ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, it's all Christian calendar. We are following the Christian calendar. Indian calendar is different. So it's different. ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲೆಂಡರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ you understand nothing. You cannot understand everything there. But then this Christian calendar, Indian calendar, Hindus, which is created by before 1000 years ago, many thousand years ago, it's scientifically correct actually. The Indian calendar is exactly correct. But all other countries, they are following the Christian calendar. So the reason we are also following the Christian calendar. So according to the Christian calendar, we are in the 2021st August 12. According to the Christian calendar. But according to the Indian calendar, we are somewhat around many years back. Means it is not 2021, it's around 2010 or 2005-6 according to the Indian calendar. It's actually real. So here, from according to them, the birth of Jesus itself counted as 0 day, and day 1, day 2 after the birth of Jesus. So here in this history we have 3 divisions. Before that, the people when they didn't have civilization ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ, the lifestyle, the people they didn't have a lifestyle, particular lifestyle they didn't have. ಹಳೆ people ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, what they were used to do, so they used to kill the animals. They used to move from one place to another places in search of food. They were not having house like this. They were living like animals. As like animals that sleep in anywhere, like that, the people they were sleeping wherever they get. And actually, when suppose the sun rise falls on the earth's surface, they used to start their work. And when it become darker, they used to sleep wherever they get a place. Suppose in the midnight, if they get a light, they used to think it is a day. Suppose in the midnight, suppose somebody fired, means somebody put a fire. Because of the light, they used to think it was a day. So that kind of the person was there at that time. They were not much intelligent. They were not much intelligent at that time. So their activities, their life, as considered ancient period. Then another one division. Here, so the people they were living in a different way. Means they were not having a clothes on that time, and they were not knowing about the important vehicles, and they were not knowing about the fire also. In the fire, they didn't know how to make a fire. Then they got the information of fire, and they didn't know the cropping, means agriculture activity. They didn't know about a settlement. Then gradually, when the time passed, people they started to construct houses. The people they started to create their own family. ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು. ಸೊ ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಇದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ದ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್. Then afterwards, the people started to dominate other. It means like a population increased. Population ಯಾವಾಗ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ increase ಆಯಿತು, ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜನಾಂಗದವರು, they are our community people. So then there in among the community people, one leader emerged. These people they started to believe the leader. Then it has formed many groups. Here one group, another. So there are many groups it has formed. Then they started to have a fight in between the two groups. To get the resources, to get the power, they started to have a fight in between. So this fight has led in many areas across the whole world. The population increased. They started to create their kingdom. They become the kings, rulers. Then the things has been changed. From the primitive life, they have stepped into the somewhat modern age. Means not modern age, means they started to live under the control of king. Now king is started to rule all the people. Whatever the king say, that has to followed by everybody now. If king say to die, then he has to die. It's all the things has changed from the normal life. They got some drastic change. It's called as medieval life. medieval history. So from the medieval history, it has around for the 800 years or 400 years, 8 to 700 years. 700 years it's prevailed. It's called as medieval period. Then afterwards, after all those things, monarchy means like a rule of king, it is got declined. We stepped into the modernity, modern age. What is the modern age? Democracy, Prajaprabhutva. What we have in India, democracy, it's a modern age. We are in the modern age. So we stepped into the modern age. Machines are introduced, mobiles are introduced, and the phones are introduced, TV are introduced, vehicles are introduced, and different education systems are introduced, different trusts are introduced. Then women, the girls, they started to read, means they started to get education. Girls, they started to get a job. Everything got changed and it's modernized. So now we are in the modern history. We are in a modern history. So here, why I have discussed about the three divisions in history. ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂರು ಭಾಗಗಳಿವೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಒಂದು ಪುರಾತನ ಕಾಲ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಒಂದು ಮಧ್ಯಯುಗದ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಆಧುನಿಕ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಪುರಾತನ ಕಾಲದ ಇತಿಹಾಸ, ಮಧ್ಯಯುಗದ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಮತ್ತೆ ಆಧುನಿಕ ಕಾಲದ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. So about all these three divisions we will be deeply discussing. In the 6th class, the whole 6th class will be discussing about ancient history. In this year, whole year in the history, we will be discussing about this ancient history. Ancient history ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಹಳೆಯ ಕಾಲ, ಪುರಾತನ, old history. Ancient history means old history. So here in this history, we will be discussing ancient. In this class, 6th class, we will be discussing ancient history. In 7th class, we will be discussing medieval history. In 8th class, modern history. That's how it's divided, the 6th to 7th, 8th. Totally we will be discussing about ancient. In 7th class, fully we will be discussing about the rulers, their kingdom, their rules, and the form of government. In the modern history, we will be discussing about emergence of nationalism, then freedom fight, and the Britishers and the Indians, the fighting between the Britishers and the Indians. We will be discussing the modern, along with now what we are going on. So here in this class, what we will be discussing about the ancient period. So all 6 we will be discussing about ancient history. I will start our class. History here in a rough notebook. Leave one page, one empty page, then start history. Because till now, you people were writing the points of geography, isn't it? Now, after the completion of geography in the rough notebook, leave one empty paper, then start the history in second paper. Second empty paper, start history, chapter 1. The name of the chapter: how, where, and when. What, where, when, and how. Sorry, double time or it is a when. So, what, where, what, when, where, and how. It's the name of a chapter, the first chapter. What, when, where, and how. Write down the chapter number 1, history, and its name, the title. Write down. What? Is it over? So here in this chapter, the chapter itself is saying, means the chapter itself gives information. It gives information. What is that information? In this chapter, we are going to discuss about what. What? We are going to discuss what is history. History and it's a fact. History is a fact. It's action which is done already. So now we are going to discuss about the action. The what action has happened. What is that action which took place? What is that event which took place? What is the event? About what we were. Then when? At what time? Which year? On which date? That's what we are discussing. In which era? That's about when. Yawaga. Then where? So that action which took place in the particular year or the date happened where? In which place? Where it happened? Then how it happened? Why it happened? How? How the things happened in the place in particular date. That's what we are discussing. Andre, so this action, the event, ಘಟನೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಯಾಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಯಾವ ಘಟನೆ we are discussing this chapter. ಯಾವ ಘಟನೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯಿತು, ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಯಿತು, ಯಾಕೆ ಆಯಿತು ಮತ್ತು ಹೇಗಾಯಿತು. That's what we are discussing. It's very clear. So history is nothing but knowing, getting what, when, where and how about the information. So the first concept what we are going to discuss here about the things which has happened in the earlier. So I told about ancient. Let me explain you about this ancient. What is this ancient refers to? Ancient andre ಏನು? Puratana, the old, is not ancient, old. So you will be getting this word in coming classes year and year after. You have to use this word. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಂತರ ನೀವು ಈ ಪದಗಳನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್, ಮಿಡಿವಲ್, ಮಾಡರ್ನ್. ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಇದನ್ನ ನೆನಪಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ವರ್ಡ್. ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪುರಾತನ, ಪುರಾತನ, ಹಳೆಯ, ಓಲ್ಡ್. Is it not Puratana? I think wrong. No problem. Old. Huh? Now in the 7th class, we will be discussing about this ancient period. So what we are going to read in this chapter, what we are going to get in this chapter. So in this chapter, we are going to get the things about. We learn about the people So people, what they eat, what they were eating or what they eat earlier, and the language. And about like a lifestyle. and the song which they were singing. And their agriculture activity. And their dressing style in ancient period. Here, what we are going to learn in this chapter, we are going to learn about the people and their things which they were eating, like the food and the language which they were speaking and the lifestyle which they were following, the songs which they were singing and the agricultural activities they were following and the dresses which they were wearing in the ancient period. That means we are going to learn about the people, how they were in the ancient period. So are you getting it? So we are going to learn about the people who were there, about their lifestyle in the ancient period. Right on this? Huh? Style. Oh, sorry. Is that over? So in this chapter, we are going to learn about these all the things. In this chapter, what we are going to learn? We are going to learn about the people and their actions, their lifestyles, and their dressing styles, and their language, and we are going to discuss where they used to live. In what places they used to live, what they were using to satisfy their hunger, how it is developed, how the civilization has increased. Earlier, what was their activity? What was their food? In the ancient period, as it was like this roti, and what you have, biryani and egg rice, all this was a food for them. And they were having this biryani, egg rice and roti, vada pav, and they were having this all these things. No. The ancient period people, they didn't know about anything a taste. They were only concerned about filling their stomach, satisfying their hunger. They only needed to consume to satisfy their hunger. That's it. They were eating a leaves as like animal. Actually, the human beings, they are the hereditary of animal, monkey, is not. So on that time, in ancient period, the people, they were eating the leaves and the bare fruits. It was not cooked. And animal flesh. That too, they used to kill the animal. And the wet flesh, what you call the flesh is that. What do you call chicken, mutton, all those things. So that wet flesh, mamsa, so they used to eat as it like. So they were not knowing how to eat. Just they knew, they were concerned only about eating, satisfying the hungry, that was. So gradually it is increased and we are in the peak of civilization and we maintain every manners. You'll sit there and you'll have a fork and spoon, everything is fine. It is a high level of civilization what we are now. But their ancient period, they didn't know about anything. So it's a somewhat introduction of this chapter. We will start to discuss about this chapter in the next classes. I will point all about that. And With the same rough notebook, after leaving one empty pages, start this all those things. As I told, I think you are stuck. Okay.